Hello and welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. My name is Kirsty. Welcome to my little corner of the internet where I talk about the things that I have been making. Now if you joined us last week, you will know that I told you that I have got everything down to 2 whips. And the question I have for you today is, do I only have 2 whips? Now I should clarify that for me, whips, I'm counting knitting projects that are not blankets. So yes, I still only have 2 whips, but as you can probably see from the cover photo, I'm working on a lot more than 2 things, and I'm going to share with you today what those are. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Kirsty Knits and Sews, and let's jump in. I do have this basket of yarn behind me, partly to make it pretty because this is my sewing desk, but also as a little, I guess, promise of what is to come. I am organising my stash. This is not organised yet. This is in the put away until I have more time to organise it. But I thought it looked pretty. So just a little promise. It is coming. I am working on it. It is currently August 5th and it is 7:42 p.m. I did get a light so I can record in the evenings because it is getting darker earlier here. I live in Rzeszów in Poland with my husband and my 2 kids. It is getting darker earlier here, but evenings are the only time I have to record that works for my family at the moment. It is summer holidays, so I got a light so I can do that and still show you the beautiful things that I'm working on and the colours. It does mean that if I look up, I get rings in my eyes. So I'm going to try and not do that, but I'm just sorry if it happens. It may happen occasionally. Wow. I have so much to share with you today. I thought when I was getting ready to record that I wouldn't have much because I only have 2 whips. And then I thought I'll show you the blanket that I'm gravitating towards working on. And then I thought about all the non-knitting things that I'm working on. Some like still yarn related, still fibre related. And it grew. It grew. And I think one of the reasons I like only having 2 whips is because it, I guess, encourages me to be creative in other ways. Now, there is no problem with having more than 2 whips. I've spent most of my life with more than 2 whips, knitting or other. I still have lots of not knitting related whips, don't get me wrong. But I have enjoyed and found slightly frustrating only having 2, but I'll get to that when I get to the whips that I have. So let's jump in. I do have knitting, I have sewing, I have spinning, I have hand sewing, and I am making a spinning wheel, and I have cross stitch. Is that everything? I'm gonna forget this one. I'm gonna move this in front of me so I don't forget it. And that's gonna make that move. Sorry. I'm in the whole fibre related stuff. I'm using an ironing board as my table because that is the most convenient thing up here. I had it set up to be working on a project over here, but it means that when I take things off, you might get a bit of a shake. Anyway, let's dive in. Let's start with the knitting whips. Yeah, let's do that because they are the ones that you have been seeing and tracking with, and it's always exciting to see progress. Now this one, I'm knitting a pair of socks for my husband. I'm using this beautiful yarn. It is called Inferno by Black Wattle Yarn. Black Wattle Yarn and Fibre. It is on her Grevillea base, which is 60% superwash merino, 20% superfine alpaca, and 20% nylon. It's hand dyed on their farm in Murrumbateman, which is just outside of Canberra. I bought this in person, but not at their farm. I've been to their farm, but I bought this at a show because my husband likes reds. I will also show you project bag made by me. I have a tutorial that is linked below if you want to learn how to make your own project bags. Go for it. It is a Christmas one and has not Christmas fabric, but I think of it as Christmas. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose. But I also have my handmade sock ruler. Now, if you live in a place where it's hard to access a sock ruler like I have, these are great. I have actually had the opportunity to buy one a couple of times, and I haven't because this works so well for me. It is template plastic, so I had some because I also sew, but you know, you can buy it for like $2-3. Pretty much any sewing place will have some. Or if you buy a photo frame that has like a plastic instead of glass, you can use that as well. But yeah, basically I just, every inch, marked on it in permanent, and then I've been writing people's names and sizes on it. So these are marked for where to start the toe, not the full length of their foot. Because I do the same toe all the time, I just figure, do that, then I know when to start the toe. So I just wanted to share that because I use it a lot, and I've excuse the progress keepers. I've made some for friends recently who started sock knitting. So I just wanted to share that here. If you need a sock ruler and you want it cheap, cardboard would also work. It just wouldn't be quite as long-term longevity, wouldn't have as much longevity. There we go. All right, back to the socks. So Inferno, black wattle yarn and fiber. Beautiful, beautiful. I bought this yarn because I've made my husband socks and he just said they weren't soft enough. So I bought this one because I thought it's a very soft yarn. I have used it, excuse me, I have used it to make a pair of socks for my dad, which seem to be wearing up nicely, so that's good. The other thing that my husband said about the socks is he said down here underneath the heel turn that he could feel each individual line of knitting and it wasn't comfortable. Now my husband has a very wide, I don't know, do you call that arch? Very wide part of the foot here. These are vanilla socks on Magic Loop by Cave the Crazy Sock Lady, and I'm using ChiaoGoo 2.5mm needles, I want to say 32 inch, 80 centimeters, size medium. But because my husband was complaining about the bottom, and every time he's put on a pair of socks, I think they are too small around here, I made them bigger. So rather than doing the 16 repeat heel flap in the pattern, I did a 24 repeats of the heel flap. So that is a much longer heel flap from there to there than you would normally see on my socks. And it means that the gusset is 20 stitches bigger. So you can see that is a huge, when I lay it out like that, it's huge. But I got my husband to try it on and it looks good. He said he doesn't feel the individual things at the bottom. He likes the softness of the yarn, but also like it's still got a bit of stretch. It's not loose. It's still snug, but it's not pulling super duper tight. Now these socks I started on the 25th of June. It is now the 5th of August. It does not take me that long to knit a pair of vanilla socks. And this is the first sock, like this is all I've done. And I think what that is just, I didn't know if it was gonna fit. This is something I come across so many times when I'm making projects. Do you have the same problem? That when you need to make an adjustment and you're not sure it's gonna work, you just kind of work on it less. When you know exactly what you need to do or you're making it exactly to pattern, you just pick it up and work on it. You don't have to think, you don't have to make decisions, but sometimes that decision fatigue just kind of gets you. It definitely does for me, and I figured that out because, I mean, it's not just this project, it's many projects. When I get to that point of making a decision, they stall. This one, the first decision was how many rows repeats to do. Once I decided that, it moved a little bit, but it was still a bit slow because I didn't like the heel flap, let's be honest, is my least favorite part of knitting a sock. So to make that longer didn't excite me. But then when I picked up the gusset stitches, there were so many stitches it was taking forever. I mean, it's still a sock, it's not that long, but it was taking much longer than normal. And I wanted to get it to a point that my husband could try it on, but I also didn't want to work on it because I didn't know if it was going to work and if I'd have to frock the whole thing. Anyway, he tried it on, it works. I have been working on it since then. I have finished the gusset. Will you be able to see that? There you go. So the gusset, go away needle. The gusset finished here. So I finished the gusset. I'm back to having the normal amount of stitches, and I am looking forward to getting this done. The second sock tends to go quicker if I'm making adjustments because it's all there. And I do have all my project pages linked, like my Ravelry project pages linked below. So if you want to know what I've done different to the normal pattern, that's all there. But if you make socks and you know, I just lengthened that, did exactly the same heel turn, and then when I picked up stitches for the gusset, just picked up extra stitches according to how many were there. Yeah, so I'm excited, it's working. I said to my husband, if they don't work, or you wear them but you're like, I'm not really a big fan, that's fine. I don't have to make him socks. But I like to know that I can make him socks, and if he appreciates them, brilliant. If he doesn't actually want them, if I make them and he's like, Kirsty, I'm just never gonna wear woolen socks, then maybe I won't make him anymore. I say maybe because I love making socks for people that I love. So yeah, maybe. But if I at least know that there's a pattern that I can make him and he appreciates them, brilliant. So that's why I've come back to this. I do have 3 pairs of his socks, well, socks that I've made him, sitting in my knitting cupboard at the moment, that I'm going to give to his brother because they have almost the same size foot. And I was debating whether or not to rip out the toe and reknit them to his brother's size. But when I looked on my sock ruler, it is like maybe a 1/4 inch difference, like there to there. So I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to include them in a package that I send to him and hope that he doesn't have to pay massive duty fees because he lives in Canada and that has been a problem in the past. So we'll see. Maybe I'll just wait until I see him in person and give him a whole bunch of socks. No, I need to do a present for him at some point. So that is whip number 1, which may be finished when I see you next. But we don't know because summer sock camp is still going and it's run by Kay Litton of the Crazy Sock Lady. I've talked about it before. Links are below if you want to find the YouTube channel, her YouTube channel and the episode where she talks about it. So I'm still kind of in the I want to knit more socks, but also I'm fully into sweaters at the moment. I just want to knit all the sweaters and we'll see how that goes. Also, I have a finished object. Oh my goodness, Kirsty. I am wearing my Sommerwisser top. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I think it's a Swiss name. Anyway, it is my Sommerwisser top. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. Yeah, let's talk about this one. I will say the skirt that I made it to wear with, I tried it on with it and I was like, nah, proportions are all wrong. The skirt has like a hem that goes up at the front. And maybe if I'm wearing the skirt with boots, it'll work, but it just, yeah, the proportions between the higher hem and the top didn't really work. So I'm like, that's fine. I can just wear it over other dresses when I need a bit of extra warmth or when I want to show it off. All right, this top, I don't have the tag with me because it's somewhere. It is, no, I have any there. It is, let me double check, Colin, which is 65% cotton and 35% linen. It is Grage number 28104 and it is by Yerben, Y-A with the dots, B-E-N, I believe. And it is the recommended yarn for the pattern. So the pattern is a free pattern that I think is released by the yarn brand. They have quite a few booklets of free patterns that use their yarn as recommended yarn. So you don't have to use that yarn, but obviously it's recommended. And I looked at doing this in different yarn, but I could not find a sport weight cotton that I could easily access. And then I found a place in Poland that sold this yarn, so I bought it from there. And yeah, I mean, it's still cotton. I'm not a fan of knitting with cotton linen. it took me quite a while to get into the feel of knitting it. But once I got there, yeah, I did get into the rhythm. And the lace in particular was quite fun. Now, last time I showed it, I wasn't onto the lace. So let's have a little chat. If I just stand up, maybe you can appreciate the lace more. Actually, first, I will say you cast on here with a provisional cast on, and you knit up. And you split for the sleeves, and you knit up the front, and then you knit up the back, and then you do I think it's a Kitchener stitch. Yeah, it's a Kitchener stitch for the top of the sleeve. So it's a boat neck. This has no finishing whatsoever in the pattern. I also did no finishing whatsoever. It is just a bind off. And so you can see it's rolling a little bit. I probably bound off a little tight, and so I can get it over my head while I'm wearing my glasses, but it is a little tight. And so I didn't want to, add another bit of the collar or anything else. Plus, I played yarn chicken bad. I was messaging my sister and my friend, who are both knitters, being like, guys, I'm so close, but I'm running out of yarn. So I did the top, seamed it together. Then I came back, picked up the stitches for here. And so you pick up all the stitches around, and then you cast on stitches on the side. I'm not even sure which side it is. Maybe this one? Yeah, maybe here. You cast on stitches down here, and then you knit this way. I'm trying to think now. Yeah, so then you knit this way, and you knit the lace back and forward, and then just pick up the stitches around the top as you go. So it was really cool, and I knew that I would like doing the lace because that was the exciting part. And so I kept going through all the boring stuff so that I could get to the exciting bit. And it really was exciting, not always in the best way. So the actual lace work is not intuitive. So I would say this is definitely like an experienced knitter's pattern, because even though everything else is very, very basic, the lace work is not intuitive. It is an 8-row repeat, and I literally, even as I was finishing it, I still had to look at the pattern to double check that I was on the right spot, because reading it and it just wasn't the easiest to read. Every 4 rows you're doing a bind off for this little picket edge, which is super cute. Yeah, it was just it took a lot to get my head around. At one point I read my knitting wrong, and I thought I was in a different spot, and I had to I literally just picked up stitches further back and pulled it out, because I was like, I can't undo this. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I've done lace work before. This is not I'm not a newbie to lace. But this was, yeah, it wasn't intuitive for me. So I thought this is definitely an advanced or an intermediate to advanced pattern, purely because of the lace. I also found it just kind of assumed a lot of knowledge. At the beginning it said pick up your needles and knit, but it didn't say which size needles. When I went back and read the pattern, it was ambiguous, but also I was like, okay, I think it's saying that you only need circulars in this size and then DPNs in this size. And so because you're casting on with a provisional cast on 200 something stitches, that's going to be with the circular. So there was implied things, but it wasn't super clear. And so I found that it was okay. I've done a lot of knitting, but I did have to assume things in order to finish it. And you're just never sure when you're assuming things in the pattern if you're assuming right or not. I did also find the way that this part picked up, the pattern was ambiguous. It said, according to the chart, it's a free pattern, but according to the chart, it was purl 3 together from the front side, but it was on a wrong side row, so you should knit 3 together. And so that's what I did, but then when it was explaining what to do, it said purl 3 together, but it was explaining what to do on the wrong side. And so I was like, I'm not sure if you want me to purl 3 together or knit 3 together. And then what it was in the pattern, one of them is actually different. Like the second one, yeah, this is definitely the side that joined. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but this one here is different because I slipped it with yarn in front instead of with yarn in back. I slipped it different for this one. And the rest of them, I got this nice little bobble. And so at the beginning, I did have a little play to be like, which one looks more like the pattern, the pictures in the pattern. And I finally was like, I like the look of this. I don't know if it's exactly the same, but so long as I'm consistent, it's fine. And then I did one wrong. But in general, it was fine. So happy that it's done. I did get into a rhythm with the lace, and the lace only took me maybe a few days because by that point I was so close to finishing it and I wanted it done. Towards the end of doing the lace, I almost ran out of yarn. And that was when I messaged my sister and friend being like, I'm playing yarn chicken. Like, what's going on? Like, the pattern said I needed 200 grams for my size. I bought 200 grams and I'm just not sure I'm going to make it. And then I made it to the end of the lace and I kitchened that up and I looked at what I had and I'm like, I still meant to go back to the sleeves and pick up all the stitches and knit 3 rounds and then cast off. I was like, there's no way I'm going to have enough yarn for that. But I also didn't want the sleeves to have nothing because they were just rolling. So I took the tiny bit I had left and I split it into 2 even pieces. And I went to one sleeve and I picked up the stitches and I thought I would be like literally picking up stitches and casting off. I managed to pick up stitches, knit 2 rounds and cast off, so there's only 1 round shy. And then I did the same for the other side. And I ended up with about this much left on both of them. And so you can see here, like it's just got a very tiny edge, but it stops the rolling being so drastic. So yeah, having a third one, like it would have made a difference. It would have made that little roll in a bit bigger. I don't mind. Oh, I did also change the sleeves. So the sleeves had no cast off for the underarm. It was just meant to be a point, similar to what you have here, just a point going 2 ways. And so what I did is I cast off 8 stitches and then I increased 4 times here so that I would end up with the same amount of stitches. You can barely even see that. So I'd end up with the same amount of stitches for the sleeves. And that just meant that it had slightly less gathering to that point in the underarm because I have a circle. Yeah, anyway, so I made it with yarn chicken. And then I weighed my top at the end and it was only 190 grams. 190 grams. I bought 200 grams of yarn. I did not throw 10 grams out. I used every bit of every ball. Like I said, had this much twice over left at the end. I'm used to patterns giving about 10% leeway when they're saying how much you need. But even if they're like, 5% leeway, I'm pretty sure I didn't get a full 200 grams. Yeah. So I made it work. It's okay. I'm not writing a letter to the company or anything like that, but just be aware that when you're buying yarn, weigh it first if it's going to be tight. I have another project here that's going to be tight, and I know it's going to be tight because I have weighed it, but weigh what you got. If it's going to be tight, find out, see what you can do. Honestly, I'm not sure I would have done much different in this one, except for maybe I could have knit the body a couple of rows shorter, but I actually like it's sitting pretty much beautifully on my waist. And yeah, it does feel a little snug. I think I could have gone, I could have gone up a size, but I wanted something that was kind of a fitted top. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. And it started on the 12th of July and I finished it on the 26th of July. So it was 2 weeks from beginning to end to knit this top. And it was 190 grams because that's all there was. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I will also say, I know I've mentioned a few times about whether or not I'm going to share stats or not, but I thought I would this time, just because I can. So in July, I finished 3 objects. I have 2 unfinished objects, which is the socks that I just showed you and one more that I'm about to show you. I used 605 grams, and I've been tracking how many skeins out versus how many grams I use, and it's been pretty accurate. So this, by skeins, 600 grams. By actual weight, 605. And that's because sometimes, like there was a 100-gram skein that I used most of, but not all of, so that didn't count in skeins. But then I used extra in something else that did count. Like, it's just, yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. And I bought a lot of yarn this month to make specific projects. So I bought this yarn, I bought more of this yarn in a purple so I could make a purple one, which I'm not sure I'm going to do the exact same pattern or if I'm going to do a different summer top with it. And then I bought yarn to make a jumper for a friend that I've been waiting to make for a long time. And I finally found yarn that was the right colours, right weight on sale. And I also bought the yarn for the next project that I'm going to show you, which is a test knit. And I did not have yarn for. Yeah, so there you go. 600 grams out, 2,100 grams in. Yeah. A cardigan, a sweater, and 2 tops. All right, this next project that I'm working on is a test knit, but I have permission to show you. Let me just pull out the pattern so you can see what it looks like. So obviously test knit not released yet. That's an idea of what it looks like. It's called the Fluffigan by Renya of Comfort Zone Knits. This is the yarn that I'm using. Oh, it's so pretty. This is hand dyed in Poland by Martin's Lab, and it is a kid single, which is 56% superwash merino and 44% mohair. And I think that might be why my nose is a little bit itchy, because I've been working with mohair. I don't have a problem wearing mohair, but I do find when I work with it, I get a little itchy because the fibres are kind of free and flying. Once I've knit it and I've washed it and they're kind of more settled, I don't have a problem. It's just in the knitting process, and it's not bad enough to stop me from using it. This is a fingering weight merino mohair, so it is fluffy, but it's not, I mean, I wouldn't say it's as fluffy as like a silk mohair that I've used before. And he's put between on this one, because when I bought it, it wasn't on his website because it's a new to him yarn. And so I was told if I want to use the yarn that the jumper was knit in, originally designed in, then I could, and he had a sale on for people who were test knitting, and just to tell him what colour I wanted. And so I scoured his website and I was like, I want this colour, well, I want between these 2 colours. I wanted between Crush and Glamour. Crush I think was more pink and Glamour was more purple, and I wanted in between. And so they said absolutely sure and made me this. So pretty. The pattern says for my size, well, I also messaged the designer and said, can I do it a size down and smaller? Sorry, like a size down, so I'd have 0 positive ease, and cropped, because I'm loving cropped things over dresses, and I just don't have many cropped jumpers or cardigans, but I wear a lot of dresses. Like I have one friend who every time I wear pants, she's like, you're not wearing a dress. This is like the 3rd time I've seen you not wearing a dress. So yeah, I do wear pants, but I wear a lot of dresses. And so I'm trying to find things that I can wear with dresses nicely. Designer Renu was like, yeah, that's fine, go for it. So I ordered the yarn, but I ordered the recommended amount for that size, not really accounting for the fact that it's going to be super cropped, but also knowing that it's a hand dyed in between colour and I wouldn't be able to get more. So this is how much I have left from the first skein and I have 3 skeins, and let me show you how far I've gotten. Oh, I'm in the middle of a row, Kirsty. All right, and I don't even have stitch stoppers in here, I don't think, do I? Nope. No. Do I? Oh, I do! Oh, amazing. Stitch stoppers. So let me just put them on quickly so I don't accidentally lose my stitches, because that would be sad. There you go. I haven't been using them because if I'm at the end of the row, I'm using 100cm needles, so it's not an issue. All right. So this will give you an idea. Oh, so pretty. I have split for the sleeves, which from this looks like I was very premature doing it, but it is a garter row detail, and so it will stretch out when I block it. Now I've kind of guessed how much it's going to stretch out based on the fabric. I did do a gauge swatch, and I ended up going down a needle size from the gauge swatch. I know in the last, what is going on there? Oh, okay. Strange. I know in the last podcast I mentioned that I was just gonna sit with gauge being bigger than expected, and I decided, no, I'm gonna go down a needle size. I'm not gonna re-swatch. I'm just gonna go down a needle size. So I'm using 3.25mm instead of the 3.5 in the pattern, and just go with it. And I am pretty happy with that. It will be tight, it will be fitted, because that's what I wanted. And obviously we'll have a button band, but my plan is to have it sit kind of similar to this. So maybe have the body go down to here or here, and then I think it's a 3-inch waistband. So I'll have the waistband coming, probably sitting on my waist, not below my waist like it is here. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised with this actually. The way that you knit it is you cast on for the back, and you do short rows along the back until you get to, well, the edge of all the stitches that you've cast on. And then you knit the back down to past where the sleeves join, or to where the sleeves join. And then you pick up, I'm probably not showing this brilliantly, but then you pick up the right shoulder, I think, and then the left shoulder, and then you knit down the fronts. And once the left shoulder gets to the same length as the right and the back, you start knitting across the whole thing. It is a cardigan, so it's knit in a flat. The garter ridge means that you're doing, I think, 4 out of 6 rows are knitted, and only 2 out of 6 are purled. So I'm like, that's not too bad as far as cardigans go. The actual effect that you get from that, I think, is quite cute. And yeah, pretty happy with it. I found the back knit up reasonably quickly. It was Japanese short rows, which is new to me. So I think when I am doing something new, I just want to kind of get to the next stage. And so I did that pretty quick. And then the front was just so short because it's a V-neck. And it was like, it grew, but not super quickly. And so it just was so quick. And then as soon as it joined the 3 of them, oh, each row takes forever, which is the thing when you're doing a knitting weight, fingering weight cardigan. I get that. Definitely it's not the pattern having the garter ridge and the extra knit row in there has been really helpful. And you're still doing, like, it's a 6-row repeat, so you've got motivation to get to that next garter ridge row. But yeah, I think just having, I don't know how many stitches are on it at the moment, probably around 200. Yeah, so a 200 stitch purl row is not my idea of fun. But we've been watching through the Marvel movies, my husband and I. So we started with Iron Man. Last night we watched the Hulk, which we weren't sure if we were going to include, but we did. and I got this out and worked on it, and so it went really quick. I've just finished the increases for the front, and now I'm knitting straight, and so it's just a matter of knitting to the length that I want, and then I'll do the ribbing and then can cast that off and do the sleeves. And I think the sleeves will go pretty quick because they'll be in the round. Yeah, so anyway, I am very much looking forward to finishing this and wearing it. In terms of my 2 projects, this has gotten the lion's share. As you can see, I cast this on the 27th of July, so this is like a week, where the socks I haven't even, has started over a month ago. This has gotten the lion's share of my work. Because it is so basic, it's not a problem. I have taken it out with me to coffee shops. It is at the point where it's a little bit cumbersome if I'm doing like knitting while I'm talking to someone, or like I took the socks to church, not this, because it's just a bit cumbersome and the rows are so long that I can't just be like, oh, I'll just finish this row. But I have enjoyed doing it. I am looking forward to wearing it. I love the color. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it finished with, I'm not modifying the pattern, but with the smaller size and cropped. So I'm modifying length, but everything else is to pattern. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out. I have wanted to cast on another jumper, and I haven't let myself. And this is one of those things that I've kind of toyed with back and forward, because I'm like, if I have another jumper, which is a concentrated knit, and I've got my socks, which are my like super easy portable knit, and then this is kind of the super easy portable, but I also need to be able to concentrate, so kind of like the at home super easy, I'm actually going to work on it, because it's like, at this point, it's not interesting, and there's a decision that needs to be made about how long I actually want it. And so there's that question of, will I actually gravitate towards it? So I haven't cast on another sweater. I don't think I'm going to stop myself from having more than 2 whips ever again. Not going to happen. But I have enjoyed having that limitation, because limitations actually give you, like, make you more creative. So I knew I had this, and I knew I had my socks, which are both basically like easy knits at this point. And so when I've wanted something more complicated, I've gravitated towards something else. So let's go into that. I will also say, I think I'll have like almost 1.5, if not more, of skeins of this left at the end. And so I'm considering using it in a tessellated pullover by Andrea Mowry. And I'm debating whether I do one, like mod the pattern and do a smaller one for my daughter using this, or possibly even do one for her and one for me. Can I do matching ones? Maybe. But yeah, now that I know that I'm going to have a lot of that left over, my mind's been racing with all the possibilities. And my daughter, when she saw me winding up that yarn, she said, Mum, I like that. That's my favourite. She's 3. She likes pink and purple. You can totally see lipstick marks here. But this is my Maxwell Williams mug with a sleeping koala from Australia. All right. Oh, I do have one more knitting project. Oh my goodness. All right, this is in a scrappy basket that I made using, I think it's My Poppet Makes. Yeah, My Poppet Makes tutorial. It is a free tutorial on her blog, and you just do the bottom until it's big enough, and then you got the sides. I think it looks like I did. For this row, I knit through the back loop, it looks like, and that's how you get that line. Yeah, and this was just using scrap yarn that I had lying around, which is, I mean, looking at it right now, it looks like there's acrylic, acrylic, more acrylic, 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 cotton. Yeah, I'm going to say this is pretty much all cotton and acrylic. So the stuff that I don't like putting in other things, although I haven't cut the ends off. I've been using this for years. Anyway, this is holding my Bits and Bobs blanket. And, oh, don't do that. What was that sound? Inside has all of the yarn for it. Now, you can see all the grey because this is a scrappy blanket, but it's a scrappy blanket held double. So let me see if I can get some of that grey out of the way. Nope, I just put it in the way. Oh well. It just has lots and lots and lots of scraps, and they're not even necessarily neatly in there. Oh, now I have mohair in my lips, I think. Alright, I'm going to put that back down. This is my blanket. It is big. Maybe I'll just show you part of it. I'm not going to be able to put the whole thing in frame. This is a pattern by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. It is, yeah, fingering weight held double. It's a very simple pattern, but I'm glad that I bought it because I didn't know how to do it. Like when I bought the pattern and I read it, I was like, I paid money for this because it's so simple, but at the same time, it's a stitch that I didn't know, and I didn't know how to do it, and so I'm very happy to pay money for a pattern, even a simple pattern, if it's teaching me something new. This is, yeah, Bits and Bobs blanket. It is fingering weight held double. So I have, gosh, that mohair. I have a grey held throughout the whole thing. I have used two different greys. I'm currently using Drops Fable Unicolor in colour 114. I was using, let me double check this one. I was using Easy Care Merino 100% wool number 4. But I bought however many skeins I thought I would need, and it wasn't enough. And when I went back to buy more, I realized it was actually quite expensive for what it was. And so I looked around and I found Drops, and it's a very similar color. So I don't know if you'll be able to tell. This side is all the Easy Care until, oh wow, it's really actually very recent. Like this section, it's all every other row, and then the very end is all Drops. There is, like, I can see a difference here when I'm looking this close, but from far away, no, I don't see it. So it's a very close colour match. I'm so happy I did. When I was changing it, I got to a point where I was like, I'm going to start doing one stripe of each colour. But I started that way too early. And so I ended up striping it for a long time. Much longer than I would have liked to have two balls on the go. But details, scrappy blanket. Other than the grey, the other side is, or the other colour is just scraps. It's just whatever scrap I have, finishing what I have, and then moving on to the next colour. It has, like, this mustard is sports weight. This blue is acrylic. This is a singles, like 100% merino singles. These ones here, oh no, that one's acrylic, the green's acrylic, the blue is 100% wool. This pink one is a crepe. Like, it's just whatever I've got, if it's fingering or sport weight, chuck it in. I I love it. It is so squishy because it's fingering weight held double, and I think it's fisherman's rib is what it actually is. So it's just a very squishy knit with fingering weight held double as well. And I think I'm going to make it about twice as long as it is. And I'm so looking forward to having this on my couch downstairs. However, it is, I've been working on it. Let me show you. That's how much I've done since I showed this on the podcast last. So I have been working on it. Let's move that. But it's been maybe 1 or 2 rows every few days. So it's not been a regular thing. It lives in my room in this basket. There is a chair and it lives beside the chair. And if I just need a moment to escape and have a think, I have 2 children, 3 and 5, so this happens occasionally, then I'll just go sit in that chair and inevitably I'll pick this up and knit a row. So it doesn't get a lot of dedicated time. I think I have sat down there once, like to watch a podcast and knit while I was watching the podcast. But generally it's just my like retreat for a few minutes kind of blanket. And so it's so nice to have something that is comfy, that is cozy, that's really simple, don't have to think about it at all. It's got lots of scraps in it. And it is so motivating to finish a scrap. Oh no, that's not it. Oh, there you go. Like this is the scrap that I'm using at the moment. It is a singles, merino singles by Vera Yarns Designs, who is an Irish dyer, I believe. Some of the first yarn that I bought when I moved to Poland have a jumper out of this. Actually, it was another test knit for Renya of Comfort Zone Knits I use this for. Yeah, so I love having all the memories in the scraps as well, but just the motivation of finishing this whole entire scrap and then having another scrap and finishing that whole entire scrap and turning it into something beautiful. I'm loving it. When I started knitting, I had this minute of, I can't believe people make blankets. Like, yarn is so expensive. I can't believe people make blankets out of it. And now I've been knitting for a while and I'm like, I totally get it. Blankets are so satisfying and so squishy and so snuggly, and I love having a knitted blanket. And I just don't think about the cost of it. It's fun. All right. What else to show you? I am going to show you this one because I had this one to show you last time and I didn't. It is framed. Now, for any of you who've been around for a while, I showed this maybe September, October last year, so almost a year ago. I'd finished it back then. Maybe it wasn't quite that early. Maybe it was this year. But I finished it and I just didn't have anywhere to frame it or put it because I was in Australia. So I brought it back with me. I found this frame the other day for like 10 bucks at a shop. And I thought that will go nicely, and I just, like, I haven't done anything special. I've literally just put it in there. Anyone who does cross stitch, don't judge me. I just wanted it in, and so now I have to find somewhere to put it on my wall. I think it is the Winter Enchantress. It's a Dimensions cross stitch, and I bought it in America 16 years ago, quite a while. It has French knots, it has beads, it has a whole bunch, like not just backstitch, but a whole bunch of other things that I have never done before. Like all this gold here is couching, not backstitch. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you because it's done. Ring light. Yeah, there's not really much else to say because I have shown this before, but I am excited that it's framed and I just have to find somewhere to put it. All right, the next one I'm going to show you is the jumper that I have been dying to cast on, but I have not. And that is the Framed by Andrea Mary. I mean, if you're watching a knitting pattern, if you're watching a knitting podcast, you've probably seen this on Instagram, on Ravelry. It is inspired by a quilt block. I bought it straight away. The first time I saw it, I wasn't sure I was going to make it. And then I saw it a second time and I was like, yeah, I'm going to make that. So this is what I have to make it with. Now, I did think maybe I would do the whole, sorry, crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. I thought maybe I'd do the whole spin yarn to make it with, because it's made with Spin Cycle, which is a slow color changing gradient yarn. And then I was like, I'm not going to. But I did have this yarn that I've already spun, 2 cakes of it. Just like, maybe that'll be enough. Maybe. And then I had these, because it's worsted yarn, I had these, which are technically the same colorway. I have a third of them. So they're technically the same colorway, but obviously this one, the dye lot, like, it's quite different. And so what I thought I'd do is I'd use this one for the frame, so the top, cuffs and hem, and then these ones for the stars. And so the stars will be those two together. I don't have enough yarn. Like, it doesn't matter how much I play with the numbers. I don't have enough yarn. Even taking into account that Andrew Murray gives an extra 10%, I don't have enough yarn. I'm going to make it anyway. Yeah. I've looked at her recommended ease, and I don't know, because this is hand spun and it's quite inconsistent, and so some parts are worsted, some parts would be bigger than worsteds, and some parts would be smaller. And so I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to pick needle size. I'm going to use the recommended needle size. I'm going to choose the pattern size. I'm going to start knitting. And if I get to the point where I'm like, this is just going to be too small, then I'll take it all out and start again on a bigger size, or with more stitches. I have done that before. I don't mind. I know that knitting in the round, I get different gauge than when I knit in the round for a swatch. I just know it. And so I'm going to try it and see if it works or not. I'm hoping that this will bloom. So I'll probably, it is woolen spun, so it will bloom. So I'll probably knit it for a while and then block it to see how much it grows before I decide if I need to rip it out or not. I know that could be a lot more work, but it is what it is. This is the only one that I'm really shy on yarn. I decided I was going to do size 3, which would give me 4 inches positive ease, because that's the minimum that she recommends. And then if it's slightly smaller, I'm like, whatever, that's fine. But then I measured one of my jumpers that I really love the fit of, and it's actually got 0 ease. Like, when I'm wearing it, it's such a loose fabric that it doesn't look like it has 0 ease, but it has 0 ease. And I was like, okay, let's think about this for a minute. If I like the fit of this jumper, let's go for that. So I'm actually going to do size 2, which will give me 0 ease. And then if it ends up being significantly smaller, I'll have to go up to size 3. If it doesn't end up being significantly smaller, then we're good. But if I do size 3, then I still won't have enough of yarn B. And so anyway, I'll play with sleeve length or body length or whatever to try and make it work. It will definitely be a game of yarn chicken. Worst comes to worst, I'm like, I can't get any more of this exact, but it's a grey corrugate. I could get a similar one and maybe do it and maybe budget for the rest of the sleeves or something if I really am struggling with it. Or I could just frog the whole thing and use it for something different. But that is I really, really want to cast on because it's colour work and it's sewing inspired. But yeah, not starting that yet. Now, I have 5 more things to show you, and we've just hit an hour. maybe not quite an hour from once I've edited it, but an hour of recording. So let me show you these quick because they're sewing and spinning related. And so I do want to share them with you because it's fun, but it won't be quite as much talking, I don't think. I'm doing a quilt. I have so many whips, works in progress, that are quilt related that all of my friends who know me will laugh that I've started another quilt. But this is a wedding present, so it doesn't count, right? One of my best friends got married in March, and as a wedding present I said, I'm going to make you a quilt. You can tell me color, design, whatever it is, we'll work together to figure it out, but I want to make you a quilt. Her and her husband. And this is what we got so far. We decided on this orange peel pattern. I'm just making orange peel blocks and then we'll put them together in some kind of pattern. I found a picture that inspired it, which is all in greens, and it's basically orange peel blocks and plain blocks put together in a giant mix. And so I'm just making orange peel blocks. I went through my fabric stash and got all of the dark blues because she wants it, she said, more neutral, maybe this quilt in dark blues. It needs to have some kind of contrast in order to work as a quilt, but I'm trying to keep it pretty low contrast so that I can get the so that it overall will read dark blue, pretty neutral. Like I said, have gone through my stash, found all the things that are in the right color that aren't too bright, and this is what I got. I have also ordered some yarn. I have also ordered some fabric so that I can finish it because I knew that I would not have enough neutrally dark blues to be able to finish it. So I've done what I can. I was debating the way to applique these on, and what I've done is I've done freezer paper, ironed the edge, like cut a template in freezer paper, ironed the edge down onto the freezer paper, being careful not to get my iron on the bare freezer paper because that gunks up the iron, and then removed the freezer paper. I've been pinning this down, but I just bought some glue so I can glue it down, and then I'm sewing around the edge with my sewing machine. I'm really enjoying it. It's enough hand stuff that I'm, enjoying handling the fabric, playing with the fabric, cutting the fabric, because it means cutting it, I can just kind of free motion cut with my rotary cutter. I don't have to cut perfectly on a line. But also, it's really quick to sew around each one with the machine. And it gives just a really beautiful finished edge because it's not raw edge. I didn't want to have a raw edge applique where it would fray because that's not their style. So yeah, I'm really happy with what I've landed on with this. I'm not going to show you this every week. Maybe when I've got some blocks sewn together or a finished top, I'll show you. But this is one of the projects that I've been working on when I didn't want to do really long rows of knitting. Another one that kind of took me by surprise is this one. That is very bright there. This is Berry Burst. Berry Burst. It is from Fibre Arts Shed in Australia, and I can share this with you now because I just bought a sweaters quantity. So if they still have any in stock, you're welcome to it. I bought a 50-gram bump of this. It's 100% merino roving. I bought a 50-gram bump when I was in Canberra just because I saw it and I was like, that's a really fun color. And it was all very like pinks with bits of blue and green. And then I wanted to try also a finished object. We got a 3D printer and I've been printing bobbins, and I wanted to try out my new 3D printed bobbin for my Ashford Kiwi 3, the sliding hook flyer bobbin. I wanted to try out my new bobbin. And so I just wanted a quick project that I could make. I do have another bobbin here that we 3D printed. Oh, there we go. So I'm just getting it off the Lazy Kate. This was the first one we 3D printed. It was the 3D print file for this one was for a standard Ashford bobbin, and my husband played with it to upsize it to what I needed. And so I wanted to try this one. It worked great. Then I found this one, and so I printed this bobbin off as well, which also works great. In some ways a little bit better, but you know, I like the style of this one better, and also the colour. Anyway, so I wanted to apply off this one, and so I printed this one to try this style and apply it onto this one. And I can say the bobbin works great, but also I fell in love with the yarn. This is a chain plied, so it's a 3-ply, and it's just beautiful. So I immediately went onto the website to see if I could get more of it, and there were 2 colours that I wasn't sure which one it was. And so I messaged them and I said, hey, I bought it at this place. Do you know which one you took with you to the show? Because there was only one pink one there at the show. And they said, no, but take a photo and send it. So I sent a photo of this because I don't have any unspun. And they looked at this and said, it's this one. I was like, oh, I love people who know their shop. They have a mill, they make their own roving, they do a whole lot of stuff there. So I don't know if this is their own roving or one that they get in, but they knew it straight away, and I've bought a sweaters quantity, and I'm so excited. Fibre Art Shed in Australia, if you're interested. But yeah, I'm so excited. I don't know if that's gonna work, but it is beautifully heathered. There is green, blue. It's great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making a jumper out of this. The other spinning I've been doing, I finished my second one. I have one more of these to spin, and then I will be able to apply. This is a sweaters quantity. It'll be, I actually don't know how much it will be. I don't know if I weighed it before I started. It'll be pretty big. I'd say at least 300 grams. I think my plan was to do a 3-ply fingering, and I'm not sure it's going to be fingering. So we'll see when it's done how much I actually have of this. But I am very happy with it. These bobbins are quite big. I think you can fit 200 grams on a bobbin. But yeah, so I'm very happy. This is a fractal spin, and it will be a 3-ply fractal spin. So I have the smallest, so I don't know which is which. I'm going to say it's probably 1, 2, and then the other one will be the 4. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. My plan when I started this was to make the Weekender, or the Weekender Light by Andrea Mary. I don't know what I'm going to make when I finish it. It depends on the actual weight of it, but I'm pretty excited. And this is merino and Corriedale. It is not hand dyed. It is coloured merino and coloured Corriedale that I split into the different amounts myself. So it's just end to end one colours, but each colour gets less and less as I do each fractal. Yeah, pretty happy with that one. I'm making an electric spinning wheel. I decided I wanted an electric spinning wheel so that when I travel, it's easy to take around with me. And I found a pattern on, I think it's on Thingiverse, which is somewhere that you can get 3D print files. So I'm making it in copper and navy, and I have all the electrical things to go inside are on the way. So that's going to be interesting because I'm going to need to solder and do things. And then this also needs some glue to make it fit, but this is the little tiny bobbin for this. Yeah, I don't know, it's interesting that that's not more snug. But anyway, so yeah, I'm making a spinning wheel. I've had fun printing off all the things, and hopefully the electronics and stuff, the guts, if you will be here this week, and then I can start putting it together. And the final whip that I have is probably the oldest one I have here. Maybe not older than the cross stitch, but same era. Yeah. I am making little fabric hand-stitched animals. Everyone has a different fabric on the back, and they're just, I bought a quilt fabric that had animals on them when I was 18. That was a while ago, and I decided that I would hand quilt them, hand stitch them, and give them to my children when I have children, because I always wanted children. And I did quite a lot of them, and then they just kind of sat, and then I couldn't remember how I was doing it, or I needed more help or something. Maybe I was doing it by machine and then hand quilting. No. Funny if I was. Anyway, yeah, so I have a whole bunch already made, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left to go. And I'm just doing a, oh look, a blue hippopotamus too. I'm just doing some cotton scraps in the middle for the batting. This, yeah, like it's been sitting there for ages, but I have done maybe 4 or 5 animals since I got it out again. It was actually sitting on a bookshelf so that I could do it, and I just had never done it since I'd put it on that bookshelf. And then I wanted to do something that wasn't the cardigan, and I didn't want to start another knitting project, and I saw this, I'm like, I'm just going to grab that. Or maybe I just didn't have my knitting with me because it was in a different room, and I saw this and I was like, I'm just going to grab that. And I have done quite a few animals, and so I want to finish that off, because my kids are not going to be in the mood to play with them for much longer. But yeah, I'm really enjoying just doing that little bit of hand stitching, and it doesn't take long to like stitch it, flip it inside out, put the batting in, sew it up, quilt it. Like, it's just so quick per animal, and it's been sitting there for so long. But yeah, that is all the things that I've been working on. So I have 2 whips, but we're using the definition of whip very lightly. 2 knitting whips that are not blankets. Anyway, I just want to show that because, yeah, people who know me are like, whoa, only 2? I'm not only working on 2 things, but I am enjoying working on different things, and I'm finding it's very positional. So if I am up here, then I'm working on this, and I can do like 3 minutes, 5 minutes on it, or I can do 10 minutes on it. And it's been really nice to have a project for up here, because the kids' playroom is right there, and so I can do this and they play, and it works really nicely when they want to be near mummy. I have my portable on the go knitting. I have my I'm sitting down and I'm tired knitting, or like I did today, I was reading a book while I knit the cardigan. It was great. I have my spinning, so if I'm like, I don't want to knit, but I want to watch TV, and you know, I know that I have the space to do it for whatever reason, like the kids are in bed, or I know that they're gonna, like, we're watching a movie for movie day, then I pull out my spinning wheel and I can spin. Or, you know, I grabbed this one a few times when I was like, I'm just going to sit at the table and chat to the kids, and this will just be something quick that I can keep my hands busy with. Like, it's just been really nice to have options, but not just knitting options, because I love doing all these other things. And so positionally, wherever I am in the house, I will choose something that is appropriate for the activity and the time and the everything. That's my dog if you can hear it. So yeah, I've really been enjoying it. I think that door might be open. Whoops. Yeah, so there you go. That is it for my crafty talk. That is to say, I am in the process of getting stuff ready to do my advent dyeing. I do an advent swap with some friends and my sister and mum, and I'm pretty excited, and I need to get stuff posted to Australia for that pretty soon. So I have started scanning up the yarn and splitting it into minis, because I do need to do 25, 30. I need to put 6 skeins into 30 minis, 30 20 gram minis before I can start dyeing. So I have done that because this week is beautiful weather, and by that I mean it is like, let me check, 16 degrees right now outside. It was a high of 22 today. Absolutely stunning. But next week it's meant to be over 30. So I want to see if I can get the dyeing done this week so that I can avoid the heat, because I don't want the whole house to be super hot with dye pots. I just dye in my kitchen, but I use separate pots, utensils, everything for dyeing. So I just don't have a dye studio. I should also mention, I'm not a professional dyer. I don't sell my dyed yarn, but I knit with it and I swap it, and it's fun. It's just enjoyable. And I'm going to try dyeing fibre for spinning, because I have a lot of undyed fibre. I think I bought a kilogram of like unspun or undyed merino, and then I have 300 grams of, I think it's like tencel, which is another merino, no, sorry, another sheep breed. So I have enough to do a few projects. And so I don't know if I'm going to do just random like 100 gram bits, or if I'm going to, yeah, I don't know. But I do have a rice cooker and a slow cooker that we were going to thrift or give away. And then I realized that I could use them for dyeing fibre. And so I've put them aside, and I'm excited to give that a try. Yeah. Anyway, I think that is it for crafty things. In terms of life, I want to say not much is happening. We have, like I mentioned before, started watching through the Marvel Universe movies again. I really enjoy them, and I enjoy the whole arc. And so it's like occasionally I'll watch a one-off movie, but I really enjoy watching them in order. And so we're doing that, but we're doing that one a week. We put the kids to bed, give them dinner, put them to bed, and then we have a special dinner while we watch a movie. And it's been really nice. Yesterday we had chicken, bacon and eggs with maple syrup on waffles. Yum. We loved it so much, and we had extra chicken, so we made it again for lunch today. Yeah, it was just, it's really nice to have something to look forward to in the evening when the kids are in bed, and to have one night of the week that is different from every other night of the week. What else is going on? Yesterday on the way home from church, we ran into a bike festival in which a lot of the roads around our city were shut. That was interesting. We got stuck in traffic. We had no idea what was going on. There were just police blocking roads, but just like some directions, and we weren't sure. And then we saw bikes riding across a bridge, and we're like, all right, well, that's a bike thing. And then we were being diverted through the Institute of Sports, which we weren't sure whether that was, they thought we wanted to park, or whether that was how they were getting traffic around the shut bridge. It's how they were getting the traffic around the shut bridge. So like we made it, and it was great. We found our way home. It was okay, but it was just, yeah, living in a country where you don't know what is happening. Just so often we have those moments where like, we have no idea what's going on, but let's keep going and hope we find our way home. It was fine. We were in our new car, and it has air conditioning. And so even though it was getting quite warm outside, inside we were nice and cozy. Yeah. I can't think of anything else that is going on. So thank you for joining me. It has been a delight, as always. Leave a comment down below to tell me what you're working on, because I love to hear. Yeah, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.